So I think we're streaming again. I don't know what happened there. I think it was I was using Wirecast, and I think I'm back streaming again. You know, so we'll just continue this, and hopefully I'll iron out everything as I'm going with this streaming. Okay, so where we have this texture, another way to copy it is to right click on it and say duplicate layer. Where's it going to go to? It's going to go to it's in the air, so we can OK that. We can then go over here and we can see that it's sitting behind George. It's a bit large, as you can see, but we're going to use the same trick again. Bring it into the middle a bit. Use the same trick again. Rotate it, hold the shift key down, right, and press enter. And then we are going to select all, and then these icons up the top here, okay, we're going to align it to the center and align it vertically. Okay, so it just moved a little. We are then going to hit Command D or deselect, and we are going to bring this into proportion with the texture that is underneath it. Okay, and this time we're going to use a blend mode for that, which is going to be, we'll try overlay. I'll put an overlay blend mode on it. Remember, we've got a blue background, a grey background, so that just gives this image, if we zoom it up, that just gives this image a little more texture, and we can add texture to it, we can take texture away. Okay, we can also change the blend modes and see how they interact with the texture below it, but I know the overlay is going to work for this particular image. Another thing we can do is we can go to a color adjustment layer, okay, and just use color lookup. In this case, we'll look up a color using the LUT values, okay, and we'll make sure that it's only affecting the layer up below it. So we'll go down here, we'll choose, I think there's a moonlight something somewhere, there it's there. Okay, we'll choose that, we'll see how that does it. You know, and you can go in and you can basically try them all. See what's going to work best for the background for George. And again, you can always change them, you know. So there's quite a few watching again. Well, I see 16 here are watching, so I'm getting something. I don't know what happened there, guys. I changed from Wirecast back to OBS. OBS seems to be working. If you go to my YouTube channel, you should be able to go in and see this live stream as it's happening. You should also, if you're a subscriber, you've got to subscribe, you should also be able to go in and send me a message. Okay, I'll just send a little message. Hi y'all. Okay, so I've sent a little message, so you can send it back, see what's happening. I'm just having a little look. I'm looking at another monitor here, and I should have had the iPad open and had a look on Facebook to see what's happening. So I'm just having a little look on Facebook. Hi Steve, how's things? Are you, mate? Blah blah blah. Download it from YT as well, mate. I'm ready. You can download it from YT as well, mate. I'm ready. It's Lewis. Okay, Lewis. I know Lewis is on. He's on somewhere. I know he's working hard at the moment. getting all the overtime he can. Build the bank balance. That's what it's all about, Lewis. So, Angus will comment in your link. Right, okay. So, next time I do this, I think I'm gonna. Right, so Angus isn't watching at the moment. That's fine. Next stream to YouTube. Blah blah blah. Okay, that's fine. That's all right. There are 17 watching at the moment. I take it Peter's one of them. I can't see who it is, you know. So I think Peter's one of them because I've made it public. So anyway, right. The CPU is looking good. I think it'll probably be OBS from now on. I had a bit of a problem there with Wirecast. I actually paid for the software, but I had a bit of a problem there with it. But it seems to be working now. I'm sure you can see me, you know. Right, so let's fix out George's shadow. We won't colour him in tonight. We'll leave that to maybe next week, and we'll work on this some more. But I want to show you some other things with selection. So we've got George there. We've got a background behind him. Right, let's take a copy of George. In fact, let's not take a copy of George. Let's make a new layer, empty, and drag it below George. Okay? Another way to do that is to select the George layer, and that's here. To select the George layer, that will just call this George. Right? Again, if I can spell, guys, it would be... Okay, happens to be my brother's name as well. Okay, so select the George layer, hold down the command button or the control key on Windows, and just hit the new layer icon, and it will place it directly below it. We want this below it. Okay, now this is another selection we're going to do. Let's turn off George. So we've turned off George with a little eyeball at the side there. Okay, just click it, click the little eyeball. George will turn on and off. So we've turned George off. So what we want to do now is create a selection of George. So let's select layer 5 below it. This is going to be the shadow layer. So let's name it shadow. And to name it, guys, all I'm doing is double clicking in the name and just rename it to shadow. So let's hold the command key down, select George. Make sure that black is the foremost color over here. If it is not, let's say it's red or something like that, right? Then hit the D key. Hit D for delta, and it will change to black and white. We want black, okay? So we've got a selection here of George. You can just see it going all around there, little marching ants, right? And all I'm going to do is hit Alt and backspace. Now that makes a shadow. It's a very, very harsh shadow of George, yeah? But of course we can place this shadow wherever we want. It doesn't matter. If we turn George back on, for instance, there's no shadow there, it's gone, right? So we use our old trick again, and that is to right click and convert to smart object, go up to filter, and then down to blur and Gaussian blur, right? And let's turn it up a bit. Now we can just see a bit of the blur around George at the moment, right? Now we're going to move this. We're going to move this shadow, right? So click on one of the corners or click on one of the sides, little nodes I call them. Click on it, okay? That's right, smart filters will be turned off temporarily. And then right click, okay, and just say distort. And grab one of these and move it. Like that. Very easy. We now need to commit it. So again, it's up here and commit it. Hit commit. We've now got a shadow back. But it's it's better than the last shadow. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But it's actually better than the last shadow. But it's a bit too intense. Okay, so all we do is go to opacity and bring it down. You'll see it coming down to about 50%. There's plenty. We can now tell that George is against the wall. Yeah, he's now against the wall. So we can go TT with this. I mean, if we had his feet here, he was standing on the floor, we could lie the shadow right down so that it was going across the floor and up the wall. You know, we could definitely do that. We can go and have a look at the original, right? And the original, I cut most of it out, but I think the shadow was, well, it just wasn't there. It was just terrible, you know, compared to what we have there. If we just pull that back on, compared to what we have there, you know, the shadow was terrible. So we've got that. So let's add some text. So it's in the air. We know that. Let's add some text to it. Put a layer above the lot. Go up. Don't know if you can hear my dog there. He's barking at me to get me out, he's saying. Anyway, so it's in the air. So it's in. No, let's put them on separate. Let's make it a little bit more challenging. So it's there. And we're going to make a copy of that, we're going to hold the Alt key down. And we're going to drag down, holding the Shift key, so it's right below it. It's in, hold the Alt, the air. So all we need to do now is go into each one of these. It's in, the air. Okay? So what we want to do now is we want to put another layer above it all. And let's take another selection. This is a rectangle. Notice we've been using a lot of selections tonight, guys, because that is where this webinar is going. It's all about selections. It's about making it look good. Yeah, so we could make a selection here, just like that. Right, that we could stroke quite easily. A stroke is just something that you put round about it. Right now we've got black. We could make it green, for instance. We could go up to edit. There's the stroke. Hit stroke. Make sure it's centered. 15 pixels. Maybe change that down to 2 pixels. Hit OK. And then Command D, and we've got this green stroke going round about it. So that's one possibility you could use. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to show you another way to do this to make sure that the edges of this text all line up together. Let's go up to View, and it's saying rulers. So we've got the rulers. If yours is turned off, then you won't see these rulers, and the rulers are important here. So go up to View and turn on the rulers. Then put your cursor over the ruler. Like that. Click and just pull off a guide. Okay? Just pull it off like that. And again. Pull it off like that. I've got two guides here. So let's go back up here. Let's take its and let's pull that out to the edge of the guides. Another thing we want to do before we do that, another thing we want to do is take all the text, because we know that it's spelt properly and it's in the right place. Take all the text, right click and just say rasterize the type. That makes it non-editable then, it makes it pixel format. So rasterize the type, it's all rasterized. So now we can grab it at the side, everything will work in at the side, and hit the return key. It's in, let's pull that out as well. Put that there and move that up so that it looks a little bit different. Let's take the and make sure that that is proportionate to everything else. Let's make that a little bit taller. Alright, you'll notice it's all the same width, it's in the air. Right, Let's take that, put it there, and let's make that a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger maybe, yeah, but there. Right, so we've got this. Let's go up to View, and it says clear the canvas guides, okay, or just clear guides, just clear them, takes the guides away. Another way to do it would be to grab the guides again and throw them back to the ruler, but that's just a quick way of doing it. So we've got It's in the Air, like that. We can grab it all. We can then, we're getting quite busy here with the layers, so we can grab them all and we can pull them down to the group icon, okay, and we can name the group Text. So when we have the text in there, right, it's inside this group, so we can take this group and we can really go to town with it now, right? So we've got It's in the Air. People know what that is if they're George Formby fans, so we can certainly put that there, and then we can put the text below George and below the shadow, okay, and we're going to make sure that that is a little bit bigger than that. That's fine. And what we're going to do here is, it's good the way it is. You can see that it's in the air, you know, it's good the way it is. We can go into the text, select the 4 of them, and make sure that they are all distributed vertically. That's fine. Okay, then we can go in and just push that up. I'm using the arrow key, the up arrow key, to do this. Let's go in the, I'm using the up arrow key again, and I'm just judging it with my eye. If you want to make it more precise, you can use a ruler. That's one of the tools. I've got air here. I'm going to pull that over there. Now the word air, I could really make quite big, you know, if I wanted to. But I think it's okay the way it is. Maybe just do that. Yeah, that's better. And pull it up. So let's colour it. Very easy now. So let's colour it. So let's take the word It's. Let's go to the effects palette. Another way to do this is put the effects on the whole group. So we could do the whole group at once, and we'll have a colour overlay. Yeah, and we'll go in, and I think George was a dark blue in there. Okay, it's sitting normally, so let's have an overlay there, see what happens. Nope. Soft light, not happening either. Let's go normal. Let's go and add a drop shadow, just a small one, Steve. Okay, the size of that, pull it down in size. Just a small drop shadow, not much. And again, I want to set that to black, and I want to take the spread of that way down and the opacity down a bit. We can go and we can add a stroke to it. Again, we could turn that stroke up. It's in the air. Right, so let's say that's what we had and we wanted it up a bit more like that, you know. Looks okay. Remember, we can always move George over. We've got the text there, George and his shadow together, right? Move the 2 of them over a bit, like that. We can even shrink them down if we want. Right, that's fine. We can even shrink them down a bit, like that. Do that. So We've got George in there. So now we're going to create an empty layer. Okay, we're going to create an empty layer above everything. And we're going to create what we call in the trade as a stamp. This is a stamp of all the layers combined. Yeah, the text layers, the graphics layers, all the layers that we see here make a stamp of it. So if we hold Command, that's controlling the window. So Command, Alt or Option, Shift and E, right, it makes this stamp. So I turn everything else below it, I've got this stamp here. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's make a copy of that stamp. And on this stamp, on top of it, let's put a gradient map, right? And let's use orange and purple. Let's bring the purple in a bit. These are standard gradients with Photoshop. And let's OK that, right? Terrible, looks terrible. But if we put that to overlay, right, and then tone it down a bit, like that, we can see that it's actually looking a bit better. Yeah, it's going to look a lot better than that, because we can go to soft light, see if that does anything. Tone it up a bit, that's better. Soft light. So I've got 64% opacity with soft light. I can then say that, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Let's merge that down. So that's what we had, that's what we've got. We can now go to another filter called the camera raw filter. Right, so we've got this here. Let's see what we can do here. This is for photographs coming straight out of camera. After all, this is Photoshop. It's about altering photos, enhancing them with color, etc., adding color to them, taking color away, making something out of nothing. That's what Photoshop does. So we can say, well, how's the exposure? Well, we can add a little exposure, a little bit of it, to George, right? Before we do that, let's take another copy of this. Remember, always take copies of it. Then go back to filter, and then the camera raw filter. Always take copies of it, and then add a little exposure to it. Brighten George up, and then take the temperature up a little. Now the shadows, make sure that there's just enough shadows and no more. There are whites in it, so give them a little bit, not much though. The blacks, we don't want them too black. Clarity, how sharp and clear are the colours. And we can make the colours really vibrant if we want. So just a little bit of that. Right? Very happy with that, but I just want it on George. Okay? I just want it on George. So click OK. And then on the George layer, keep this layer selected, and on the George layer, hold the command button and click on George. Right? Now hold the Alt button down and click on Layer Mask. Right, so you didn't want to hold the Alt button down. You've got this selected, so then click on the Layer Mask. And now that colour is just applied to George and not the background. Do you see that? It's just applied to George and not the background. So it's time now to take another stamp. That's Command, Alt, Shift and E. Let's take another stamp. Go back into the camera raw filter. Yeah? And this time, instead of any of these, we don't need to touch them. We can maybe give it a little bit of clarity and a little bit of vibrance, not much. Sharpening, just a little bit. And let's go over to Effects and let's add a bit of vignetting to this. Vignetting is just some dark images coming in, like that. Some dark pixels coming in at the sides, like that. Or you've got the other extreme where it's white pixels coming in. But we would just want something coming in at the side there. Okay, so that's what we've got. We took George, we took George from a photo. Let's bring that photo up. Let's bring everything up here. We took a photo of George, and we cut him out of it. Yeah, we cut George out of it, and we added a shadow to the back, and then we added a background to that and to that. We added a background, then we added text on top of the background but behind George. Okay, we then took a stamp, that's that there. We took a stamp, we can turn this lot off. We took a stamp and we put a gradient overlay over the top of it. We then took it into Camera Raw to enhance George a bit, and it enhanced George a bit. Then we wanted to put our own take on the overall image, and that was add a vignette and sharpen it up a bit, and we done that. That's what we have. The image size is 2015 by 2632 at 300 dpi, right? So we can quite easily right click on that, duplicate the layer, right, and take it to demo 1. Okay, now in demo 1 it's only 2000 pixels, so this is where Photoshop really comes into its own. Right click and convert that to a smart object first of all. What we're going to do here is we're going to make this square, so we are going to bring that down so that it fits top and bottom. Okay, we want it to fit top and bottom, which is okay. Now we want it bang on the center, right? So we could, yeah, we want it bang on the center. So, sorry, I had a brain freeze there for a moment. Select all, and let's minimize, let's put it in the center of that document. Now we could just trim it and what have you, but I want to show you something else here that will be of interest. We can extend these edges. They're not too bad. We can extend them. I don't know how much we'll get away with, but we'll try anyway. The shadow may be in the road and what have you. So to make this square we would need to, you know, just pull it like that and probably pull the rest over, or pull it down. I don't want to do that. No, so I don't want to do that either. So we could do that with the original one, but I don't want to do that either. So we're not going to make this square. We're just, because it would waste the image the way it is. We'll just we'll say that we're going to trim it and hit OK, and we're going to check the size, the canvas size of this, which the height should be 2000. That's good. So we have this image here that we made demo 1. Yeah. So to save this off for the internet, if we have a look at the image size again, it's 300 dpi. We don't need it at 300 dpi. We only need it at 144 dpi because it's never going to be printed. It's for the internet. So 144, and you see the height and the width come down. Well, you can put that back up to 2000. Okay, or you could have hit resample, uncheck resample, and it wouldn't have done that for you anyway. So you're back at where you were, so there's no change in the size, just the resolution. Okay, and what we can do at the same time is we can select all, right, or Command A, select all, and let's choose black or hit D, and let's stroke that. So we're going to edit, and we are going to go up the top. We're going to hit edit, stroke on a new layer, and we're going to make this 25 pixels. It's going to be inside. OK. Command D, and right click and bring that down to about 50%. Okay, it just adds a kind of old border around it. Let's merge visible. Everything's merged into one now, and what we can do now is we can export. We're going to export for the web, right? This is important if you're using this for if we go here to 100%, you can see what's happening here, right? But this is important if we're going to put this out for a website or something like that. So we don't want it that big to begin with, right? So we'll make it 1200. Okay, so that's made it 1200. It's a little bit smaller, and we know that it's 144. But if you look down here, it says 1005K. It's nearly a meg in size, 1 megabyte. So we don't need it at its maximum capacity because it's ever only going to be seen. It's never going to be printed. So we could quite easily go up here and just say, well, keep it high. And when we do that, we get just over a quarter of the size. It's 282K. So if I do that again for you, maximum, right? It's 105. It's nearly a meg in size. It's a quality 100. So let me put the quality at 90. You'll see this going down. There's 75. Let's go 60. 282. Let's put it down to 50%. Right? So there's not, that's 216K, which is nothing. And that is quite a good size, you know, and you know the color there's I don't know, there's 16 million colors in there. You know, so I'll hit save and we'll just call it demo 1 on the desktop. Hit save. We'll put it up there. And I'm afraid that is it for this webinar. There's been a few ups and downs with it. I had problems hooking up a Cat7 cable to revert back to Cat6. I don't know what I'd done, but I'm working on it. Hopefully these will get better. I know there's 22 people watching at the moment, which you should have all typed into the chat window. So I'm going to try to get some kind of format up for this. I think OBS seems to be the best software, although I paid for Wirecast, and maybe it's me not using it properly or something like that. I'm certainly using Photoshop properly. We'll just come back here. It'll just say back soon now. So I know that I'm using Photoshop properly. I'm looking at everything here and it says the stream health is fantastic. So I'm not getting any questions from anyone. I'm sorry if it's not worked out to everybody's expectations. It's really been trial and error. For the last 3 days I've been trying to, you know, work with different cables. I know I've got the bandwidth to a good upload link. I've got 20 meg here, so I know I've got a good upload link, but it's putting everything else together. I'm going to do this every Friday. I'm going to choose a topic of Photoshop. Today it was selections and cutting out, how to use the layer palette, how to put some type in, how to flatten it all off, how to enhance the colours of it, even although everything on the screen was black and white. We never got to colouring George. In a future episode we certainly will colour George. I have a photo in mind that I really want to work with, but I'll need to get some permission first from a couple of people to use it in one of the webinars. And I want to colour it up and, you know, just enhance it and get the best possible print quality A4 poster or A3 poster that I can get out of it. So we're certainly going to do that, and we're going to do that together. I'm sorry this webinar has been a bit trial and error, guys. I'm working on it. I'll probably use OBS until I figure out how to use Wirecast or something like that. But XSplit I had a look at. I also had a look at streaming to Facebook, which to me, you know, didn't work too well. So I'm dying to see what these look like on YouTube. I know there'll be a lot of oohs and ahs, but hey, it's only the first one. I've scripted it, so it has to start somewhere. I think it's the technical part that's probably let the webinar down a bit. Not so much the tutorial content. The tutorial content's there, but it's certainly the technical part. So guys, until next week, tune in at 7 o'clock. Hopefully I'll have all the technical stuff ironed out so that we can get the best stream possible for this. The Photoshop, these ones are going to extend. There'll be 6 of these for the next 6 weeks, and then we're going to do more advanced stuff like color correction, spot colors. We're going to move into a little bit of Illustrator, and we're going to use Photoshop and Illustrator together to see how they work together. For the animators out there, we're also going to I'm also going to show you how to set up your plates so that they can be taken right into Premiere or After Effects, etc. Everything is done in Adobe Creative Suite. You do get a free trial. I don't know if it's 30 days or 60 days or something, but I think you get a free trial of all the software I'm talking about. But I know that a couple of you have got Photoshop, and I know that there's 1 or 2 of you got Elements, and I'll try and get a copy of Elements, download that as well from the cloud, and get that up and running, and give you a kind of backup for that, for the ones that are missing out and all the tools that CC's got. Okay, but until next week, guys, I'm going to sign off and have a look at these and see if everything went okay. Okay, so I'll speak to you later. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.